Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another One Piece manga review. And look, I know normally you're used to me doing this with Christian. Christian will be back for the next chapter review, but I wanted to introduce because our manga division is strong. We have our manga and anime division is strong. We have Christian, Jay, Parf, Jazz comes on from time to time, but this is someone who is on the network that y'all won't see his show for a while. Like, we're still setting it up because that's how big it is. Let me tell y'all, it's going to be a D&D show where we play D&D and act it out on video and everything, and y'all see it. That's why we want to make it really good. He is our game manager. Dude got me into D&D, one of the best writers I know. So y'all are going to be super excited when we see that. It's going to be a One Piece D&D. We'll probably do other series, probably a Star Wars, maybe a Naruto. We're going to do multiple non-traditional D&D stuff. But this is my man. What do you want me to call you? Want me to call you Versen or your name?
If they know my brother by his name, you might as well call him by my name.
Okay, yeah, they do know Jay by Jay. So this is our guy, Joshua. Or you want me to call Josh or Joshua?
You can call me Josh. As long as I'm doing good, you can call me Josh. If I fuck up, I'm Joshua. That's just
this is our guy, Josh. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you. We've had you on the JJK roundtable, but like I said, you're a part of the network. So I'm glad to finally get you involved in something. You love One Piece as much as me and Christian, and we're going to have you on more of these reviews. This is, and I'm going to be straight honest. Y'all know me and Christian have been negative. This guy has a positive outlook. So when me and Christian come back next week or for the next chapter and y'all hear his thoughts, it'll be a good counter. So y'all get all sides. This is basically not devil's advocate, but this is just showing a different perspective. So we cover all bases with Wano because some people liked it. Some people hated it. Some people are in the middle. I feel like Josh liked it. I'm in the middle. Christian hated it. So we give you all the different perspectives. But how you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. Excited to finally be on here. Obviously, fitting that I'm on here at the end of Wano. So I didn't know chapter title was really called The End.
But yeah, no, we like, if you're listening to this is big spoiler. So tell the people real quick, just your journey with One Piece. Who's some of your favorite characters? Because they know you from the JJK thing, but they have no idea about your thoughts on One Piece.
Okay, so first I just want to say I do love JJK. It's honored to be on that, and with everything going on in that, we need to make another one.
Yeah, it's time.
Especially now that character rankings are a little different because of reasons.
Yep.
But
I'm glad you said that. We'll discuss that in the Discord. Which, if you want to join the Discord, link in the description.
Yep. As for One Piece, that's my bread and butter. You
love it.
As with a lot of people, back in the days of Toonami. Bleach, One Piece, Naruto, big three. I really enjoyed Naruto, but to be honest with you, the Sasuke direction they went with it had me kind of flagging. Bleach I really liked, but then you hit a couple filler arcs like the bounce and stuff, and it shakes you a little bit. One Piece I have always genuinely liked. I'm not gonna lie, obviously with starting off with the 4-kid serialization. But now I can look back and take it in stride. Now listen to that on occasion and be like, man,
it makes me laugh.
Like, damn, this is middle school. All right.
And then I think of, hey, the gabagool, I gotta cook it for the crew. New York Sanji.
Rotisserie.
Yeah, and that's funny because me and you are the Sanji stands of our group. Like, if I would say like me, you, Jazz, Christian is the Zoro head, me and you are the Sanji stands, and Jazz is like a nebulous floater.
Yeah, he loves everybody, but especially he loved the women. Which, I mean, I can't hate on it. But,
no, for sure. So
we've all seen the Twitter.
Who would you say your favorite character is?
Okay, so obviously, that's cheap. Out of the Monster Trio, I really love Sanji, obviously, fave. But that being said, man, out of people who aren't part of the Monster Trio, because again, that's a little cheat. Out of like the new crew, the post East Blue crew, as it were, I have a real shine for Brook. I really like Brook. He's kind of
Brook
like
has a faction of people, man. Like, he really does. People like it, and he's done some big shit.
Yeah, like, in my opinion, MVP of Whole Cake Island. He's always doing stuff. He never super wants to steal the spotlight. He's a real genuine dude.
Like, without him, we wouldn't have Big Mom's Poneglyph. Like, that was him.
Yeah. Dude, he squared up with a Yonko before we
Yep.
knew we were allowed to do that.
Without hockey, by the way, which is funny because we may or may not talk about what we talked about off air in terms of hockey v Devil Fruit, but that just shows how strong Brooke is to do that without hockey.
Yeah, and personally, I'm going through a lot of the series right now with my partner, who also watched a little bit during the Toonami saga, but like kind of like fell off a little bit. So we've literally been doing the One Piece Kai cut and pushing it through. We had a bit of a snag after Thriller Bark, which is kind of fitting because I personally, Toonami stopped airing after Thriller Bark, which, as we know, is right before everything went to shit. So, it's one of those things where it's like, the same thing with I think One Piece nowadays. There's a big buy-in, which can be hard to like bite into, as you and I both know with my brother, who now claims that he doesn't have to catch up. Actually,
bro, JB pissing me off with that shit. Let me let y'all know, Manga Melee fans, because Oda said, "Oh, you can read now." Jay is just starting from that. Please, y'all, get on his ass in the Manga Melee comments and tell him read One Piece from the jump. Because he was saying things in our Discord. I was like, bro, you don't know because you didn't read.
Calm down. All right. Just calm down a little bit. All right. Yeah, you wiki dove. Okay, cool. Damn. My bad. I could wiki dive too. I could have wiki dove JJK, but I read it and I enjoyed it.
That's how I felt about Chainsaw Man. I was like, I could have easily wiki dove this shit.
Dude, I want to say like 2 or 3 damn years ago or something. We had an agreement. A twin agreement. For those of y'all don't know, we don't look it, but we're twins.
Oh yeah, I know about this.
Yep. We had a twin agreement. I was going to read through the entirety of Worm, which is a great web series, by the way.
I need to do that for him. I gave him my word that I would read Worm. I need to do that.
Now I'm Wild Bo, the author's biggest fan. I'm reading his current series week to week, and it's immaculate. It's some of the great. Yeah, it's not in the same universe as Worm. It's actually more of his like magic system and stuff.
Is it a comic or is it a novel, just like Worm?
It's a web serial.
Okay.
I think we're on arc 20 or so, and it's only getting longer. I recently tried to like print out a chapter of his like on the plane. I know it's not about One Piece, but for the record, my man puts out like 50-page chapters a day. According to
that's why I haven't started Worm yet, because the book is like huge, or the series is huge.
But anyway, so Worm, for the record, 30 arcs of greatness, and it's the best world whenever it comes to superheroes.
Yeah, that's what y'all have told me, like better than DC, better than Marvel, better than The Boys, any superhero thing you like. Y'all have both stated that Worm is the best. That's why I need to read it.
Yep, but the long story, less long, definitely not short, is I read 30 arcs worth of Worm front to back.
He was supposed to read what?
Book. He was supposed to get current with One Piece, and back then that was whole cake time. So that was 200 some odd chapters ago.
Yeah, y'all got to get on him. How you gonna break a twin agreement? That's worse than a pinky promise.
And I keep giving him mats. I'm like, listen, One Piece Kai cut. Like
that's what I told him. I told him watch the 3 movies, the East Blue, Alabasta, Skypiea movie, and then you can read at Water 7, which is where the story becomes the ultimate gas.
Yeah, that's when it jumps up.
Yeah.
Oh, but he's also one of the types who steadfast says you can skip Skypiea too. So,
Look, I'll say this: the audience knows that before, and I told you this, like right when we first started Anime Talk, I was one of those people that was like, "Oh, I can skip Skypiea and Thriller Bark." Boy, was I wrong when I actually caught up. Like, and see, maybe that's why I don't have a connection to Brooke, because I didn't like Thriller Bark per se. That's like my least favorite arc out of all of them, probably, I'd say. And that's why for me, my second favorite Straw Hat after Sanji would be Frankie. I'm a big Water 7 guy, and I love Frankie, and I'm interested in, and it's funny that Sanji's my favorite character because those two have ties through Vegapunk, which is something I'm super excited to like get to know finally now that Wano is over.
It took me a minute to get unsalty about Frankie, just like it took Luffy a minute to get unsalty about Frankie. Because, I'm right there with Luffy, like during Water 7, where I'm like, fuck you, Frankie, you're why Usopp left. Not 100% why, but, you bugged our boy.
Part of the reason why, but then don't get me started on Usopp's bitch ass with the Mary.
But I get it, though.
I get it, but that shit couldn't, like, I understand you want to try to, but, like, the journey does not continue if we, like, and Luffy's trying to be the Pirate King. You just got to get over it. Take a piece with you and let's go.
Yeah, like they could at least taken the figurehead or something.
That's what I thought they would have did.
Yeah, but
this is beside the point.
Sunny's cute.
This is awesome. See, this shows the people how you feel about One Piece. So I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah, and for the record, so I am catching up back on One Piece on that angle. I mean, obviously I read weekly on the manga, but I'm doing the One Piece Kai cut, and literally the last thing that we stopped with my partner while they were down, we watched literally the One Piece Kai episode that ends with Luffy doing the big punch on Charlos.
Oh, nice,
Yeah,
nice.
saying "fuck Charlos, fuck the Celestial Dragons" with my whole chest.
Good moment.
And
yeah.
so yeah.
So who's your favorite? Who's your favorite non-straw hat? Because as you can see, mine is 100% Trafalgar D. Law as my non-favorite straw hat fan, and then I would say after that, it's a mixture of Shanks, as you know, Kid, and Sabo. Because I'm a big Sabo stan.
I gotta give it up to the old generation. Like Garp's story is so interesting to me.
It is.
Like, as we said before in the Discord, which you guys can join. But the thing about Garp is that like if you like everybody's like, what's gonna happen after One Piece? You know, what's gonna happen after One Piece, or you know, what movies are we gonna get?
Say
gonna be like
that's what I would
and all that. And it's like the thing about it is, y'all, like we could just do Garp's story
more than anything. More than anything.
And you will get everything you want from Gold Roger. You'll get everything you
want from the old generation.
All that stuff,
and it would be interesting because we get to see it from the Marine perspective.
Yeah, we could understand why someone who's like Garp, who, as we know, is 100% like, I'm gonna do me, I'm gonna protect civilians, but ultimately I'm never gonna be an admiral because fuck them.
And we get to learn about that.
We get to learn why even do a Marines. I mean, we have illustrations of him as a young, he was
badass
little kid, you know.
That's why to me
slapping tigers around and shit. How does that guy become a Marine?
I agree with you 2000%. I don't want, because you know Shonen Jump's gonna do something with this. I do not want a future Boruto thing. I think One Piece is set up beautifully to where a Garp story would be perfect. Or you could do, if you want to even get a little bit further in the past, we don't know anything about him. Kong, do a Kong story. That way you see Garp, you see Roger, but we get to learn it even more so in the Wild West.
And obviously there's the Void Century. We can go back to the age of exploration of pirates, because even Gold Roger himself says, damn, Joe Boy, I wish I lived when you did, because you were doing
when giants were actually roaming and there was big ass monsters. Giants
roaming. Nobody knew shit about the Grand Line, because you know, that is one thing about One Piece. On one hand, we say,
was there a red line?
On one hand, whenever we first go into the Grand Line, especially from Crocus and stuff, we were like, the Grand Line's mysterious and all that. And on one hand, it is. But obviously, as you progress through it, it's like, but there's entire cultures and like people who live here. And evidently it is possible to get through the Grand Line, because like we have a ton of characters who, when they were babies of all things, managed to get from like one sea to another. You know?
100%.
Like Sanji ended up on a cruise ship that later went to the East Blue, you know, after it got raided by Zeph.
Yep.
You know, Frankie's parents,
as a child.
Frankie's parents did not have him on the Grand Line. He's not like Buggy, who's listed Grand Line. He's
and even for people like Buggy, dude is on the Grand Line. Like, how did he get to the East Blue? Like those sorts of things. So 100%. But glad to have you here, Josh, my man. We will be talking more One Piece. Me and you could sit here and discuss this for hours. But let's get to the chapter. For those of y'all who know how we do this, and if you don't, I give a brief summary of the chapter, we go through it, and then after that we discuss it. And basically this will be us discussing the chapter, but really giving our thoughts on Wano and some of the things we miss. We won't have it too long, but it'll be long enough to where y'all get a gist. And then Christian and I will be back to review next week's chapter, and then we'll have an overall group discussion with myself, Christian, Jazz, and Josh, probably even our rapper friend Pharaoh as well.
That's it, man. If you
all of y'all, if you don't have Pharaoh, he'll be pissed.
I say, one, he'll be pissed, and two, I have to have co-president of the Fuck Shanks agenda.
Oh my god,
that's changed up the last
it's changed up a lot.
Thanks to One Piece Film Red.
And then when you watch the filler episodes, which are canon, it even shows even more so how I was right about Shanks. But I'll take my. I'm not ready to take my dub on Shanks, but I am ready to take my L on Yamato, along with a bunch of other people. I'm so interested to see how you feel about that. We'll discuss that in a second. But let's get into it. Chapter 1057, the end. It starts off with a cover story showing oh, this is how the German are doing this. Caesar, now things are making sense to me. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Chapter starts off with the teacher continuing the story of Wano and the heroes. We then see Momo, Yamato, and Kinemon chasing after Luffy because he was upset that he didn't get to say goodbye. He then is flashbacking through all their moments that they had, and it's like Luffy's a bad guy, but still thinking of all the good moments, trying to convince himself that he is. Kinemon's like, "Don't worry, I'll slice him down," and I'm just like, Kinemon, you couldn't slice down Kaido. What are you talking about? But we'll get to Kinemon's bitch ass. And he's like, I'm going to slice him down for you. We then get to the port, and then Momo just straight crying face. I don't want y'all to leave. I love y'all. Y'all are my best friends. Everybody's like, oh, he's still a kid, and everybody still loves him. And Luffy's like, Usopp, throw it here. He gives them a flag of the Straw Hats, telling them if anybody comes and mess with y'all, let them know that y'all are with us. Also, y'all are Straw Hats. Y'all can come join the crew whenever y'all want. If y'all ever want to be pirates, I will come pick y'all up. Yamato's like, hell yeah, because she wants to come eventually. But then we see all the pirates are like, all right, we're going to shove off. And Nami's like, let's go this safe way. And Kid's like, haha, y'all are pussies. Y'all aren't going to go down the waterfall. And of course, Law and Luffy are like, fuck that. And then they all go down the waterfall. And we learn, we see the ending of the Wano teachers teaching the stuff. We then see Hiyori pop out and then do her thing. The Kurozumi was born to burn. And then we get a final picture of all the Wano people that we love, and I'm guessing that's the picture Oda has been waiting to draw. And then the arc ends. Wano ends. Curtain closed. No break next week. So where do you think we should start, Josh? This one we don't necessarily have to go in order because I feel like there's three things to talk about. Yamato not joining the crew, the thoughts on Hiyori with the Kurozumi, and then I guess how do we feel about this is Luffy's territory? I feel like those are the three major things from this chapter. Did I miss anything that we should discuss?
No, I think this chapter, and I think for good reason, was pretty cut and dry.
It needed to be.
Yeah, like I think, and before we like really on it, I'll just say this. I think a lot of people are gonna have some problems with the chapter because it is kind of cut and dry. It's what could be considered rushed, even though if you look at the Wano arc, it's massive.
Yeah, it's long. It's the longest arc we've had. So
I think Momo and how he reacted in the arc is basically what people need to feel about this chapter, which is if Luffy and the crew didn't leave now, and if it didn't feel kind of abrupt, Oda would probably put another 20 chapters in it.
Yeah,
and for me, I love One Piece. I never really want it to end. I'm fine with that to an extent.
I think he
had to get him out.
He did. It was time. And I guess let's start there. How we feel about Wano as a whole. To me, I feel like there's things that should have been cut to give other things time. We did not need the Ice Oni that long. I don't think we needed all of the early, yes, we needed to learn about Wano life, but there's things, for example, like Tama, we needed to learn about her and Hitetsu. But like some of the stuff with the sumo we didn't need, and you cut some of that to give more time to maybe Zoro dealing with his identity and going to the grave of Ryuma, because I think that's something that we missed that is a big miss. Also, Kaido's backstory, you know where I stand on this. I think Doflamingo's still the best villain of One Piece because we actually got to know him. He's the one that we've gotten to know the most, and I understand Odin's backstory had to be long, but there's stuff in the beginning of Odin's backstory that we can cut, not the end, because we needed all the end, to give Kaido more than a couple of panels. Even Big Mom got a better backstory than Kaido.
Yeah, if I could touch on that.
Oh, go ahead.
So, to start, and let's start with like Kaido, and I know we're mostly trying to review the chapter and we'll have the whole thing.
Yeah,
I will say this.
This is just our overall, because this is the end.
Yeah, So I think a big thing with the Kaido thing is I think a lot of people thought that the Tale of Wano, because we had the Odin chapter, I think a lot of people imposed a duality of being like the Tale of Wano is the tale of Odin and Kaido.
Yeah,
I think we both agreed that they were. I think we both agreed.
Doflamingo-esque, you know what I'm saying? Like, just give us that amount of length. But to your point, yes, if we get Odin, we have to get that much of Kaido.
Yeah, and I think we as the fans kind of assumed that, and
we did.
I don't want to try and get too much in the mind of Oda, but the more that you guys had me on, the more that I'm not necessarily an Oda defender, but I try to look at it as somebody who writes stories, and I
Well,
don't
some
mean that
positive,
yeah, and I don't mean that at all as somebody who's wrote anything close to One Piece. But I have been running a D&D campaign for the last 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I can tell you right now, I have some arcs that are high, I have some arcs that are low.
And I
I
can
have some
tell
arcs
y'all
where I
from
do something
someone who
different.
plays his D&D games, he's a great writer as someone who is a writer himself. Like, that's why it's interesting to talk to you because we're both writers.
So I think a big thing with Oda is like, it's like I said in the Discord, I think Oda almost would have liked to have made a completely separate manga that was about Wano.
Yep.
Whether, and that's if it was Wano in the One Piece
2000%
world,
agree. Or
if that
some
was
separate.
Wano, yeah, like that could either be Wano in One Piece or it could have been Wano as like a one shot somewhere. You
You
know,
could tell he loves the era of Japan, of the samurai, and the and basically Akira Kurosawa and all of those Yojimbo, that era. But he feels that it's very
Seven Samurai, obviously big
yep.
thing for this. That's a big thing for the opening too, which is why it feels a little weird.
He feels that this
Because
era is too bleak when in actuality he thinks there's so much beauty, which is why Wano was as colorful as is.
yeah, just
Because
shoving color into it.
exactly, because we've never gotten an adaptation like that of that era. To your point on, that's why he loves it so much, because he did it how he interpreted that era, because everything we've seen from pop culture so far, at least as Westerners, it's been bleak, it's been very dark, it's a lot of the samurai code, it's a lot of seppukus, it's a lot of blacks and whites, whereas this is no, bro, y'all aren't committing seppuku. Usopp's telling them y'all need to learn to live, which is why I think he didn't kill as many of them as a lot of fans have wanted.
Yeah, and I will say this from a historical context. Westerners in general have a pretty big problem with like making other cultures seem more dour and stuff that they are. You know, like we have a bad habit of looking at like the Western impact on other cultures, which keep it a buck usually is pretty fucking negative.
We do that
And
with Africans a lot.
Yeah, Africans, Indians, you know, like a lot of times during talking about the British Raj, but we even do that in people we consider traditionally Western, like the fact that a lot of people can
the
credit
Italians. We look at them as only mobsters.
Yeah, and we look at like, but we look at Greeks, like ancient Greece, which a lot of people consider the birth of the West, as like some sort of like highly like civilized but dour people with like masters of stoicism or whatever, like
the
down to their
ultimate warriors.
yeah, but even then, down to their very artwork, where we look at marble statues, where actually, if you looked more into their history, all the statues that are like pure white are not meant to be pure white. The paint has flaked off, but they're almost garish with their color.
Yeah,
like for human civilization,
yeah,
for human civilization, as long as we've had it, we've loved color, we've loved pigment, we've loved making things pop. The same thing happens with Middle Ages stuff. We think everyone was like gray or brown or whatever, or was dingy and gross. No, the dye quality that they had wasn't very good, so it washed out. But you know, you had people walking around in like full yellow suits. Not, you know, like again, to the modern sensibility, it's even kind of ugly, but there's a lot of color there.
Yeah, it's not how we perceive as everything's just dark, black, white, gray.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, you know, when it comes to like consuming media, especially One Piece, which has been on for so long and does touch on a lot of different cultures, you know, I think we interpret things differently than Oda's original intent. And again, I'm saying that not as like Oda's like, no, I'm not saying Goda, and you know, or whatever, but I am saying, you know,
but
like
pay respect.
Yeah, you know, you have to like kind of look at it and be like, hey, sometimes a mangaka, especially one with 1,057 chapters behind his belt, sometimes he has to be like, I'm gonna do that for me.
Yeah,
and like look, you said, Gear Fifth, that was for Oda.
I was about to say the highs of this arc are the best highs we've ever gotten. But I do think in terms of comparing him to himself, some of the story beats he cut. But again, I don't blame him for that. And I told you this off air. I blame Shonen Jump, because Shonen Jump clearly came out and said, and I think they did that to defend him. Not that the online stuff was getting to him or anything, but I think they had to because it was bubbling. And basically, they wanted Film Red to come out at this time and wanted the manga to match when Film Red came out. They wanted the manga to have Shanks there when Film Red came out. And there's no way, I believe Oda cut enough to make that happen. There's no way you can tell me that he didn't.
Also, keep it a buck, COVID happened during Wano.
That too.
Like
that, those two situations made us get so much, let me not say so much, but things that normally would have been in there cut. I think the three major things are Kaido's backstory, Zoro not going to Ryuma's grave, and then I would even say the Big Mom crew, because like
they should be, theoretically speaking, at the bottom of this waterfall we're jumping over right now.
Yep.
I mean, I know in the last chapter or two they said they were moving,
and it's been a week. It's been like a week since the you know what I'm saying?
But for all we know, they could be trying to resupply at the next island over, which, keep in mind,
we could
draw
see
the short straw, which means that he could have bad luck and run into the Big Mom crew.
Or Kid or Law, and we could see another fight ensue.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say the negatives are? We'll get that out the way, and then we'll get to the positives.
Okay. So yeah, I think in general, like a big thing with Wano comes from, like I said, the focus that I think Oda was in his bag on trying to like make Wano live up to his own personal hype, which I understand as someone who's in an arc right now of my campaign, which I've been building up myself for years, because there's a little bit of like a time travel hop in, and now it's more like a modern day city. Sometimes you get to the place where you want to get to, and then you're like, shit, 3 years worth of buildup or whatever, and I'm fumbling the bag a little bit week to week. You know, like, and it's not even necessarily that it's bad or whatever, but as you're in it, situations change, you know?
Yeah.
Like we said, like there's a whole thing with the Kurozumi, which we'll get into with the chapter, you know, like it's almost 100% that Tom is Kurozumi.
Yeah.
No one is going after her about it, but we all thought, at least on some level, especially, you know, Momo and her being the same age.
A lot of the Westerners, at least.
Yeah. We thought it was going to be a thing. Now, I will say this: there's a difference between the official translation and the
fans. Yep,
that is very important and does change that scene.
And there's a difference between how the Japanese audience were saying they received it, because a lot of people said it was more so of a pun in Japan than an outright. It's how we view it. Yeah,
it's a callback, and you know, I mean, if we want, we can get into that scene right now. But
yeah, we can.
It is directed at Orochi.
100%, and it's directed at Orochi saying
is important,
and it's directed at Orochi because he said Odin was born to boil. Like he made those jokes, and that was the get back at that joke. And to your point, it was directed specifically only towards Orochi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you know, personally, I thought, like, because whenever I first saw it, I was shocked.
Yeah, I was shocked as well, because
me
and you both feel that Hiyori kind of got shafted in the sense of we're just giving Momo that's another thing. We're just giving Momo outright the shogunate, and he is a child in an adult's body. We don't give Hiyori anything. And now, she didn't even kill. She didn't even kill Orochi. She just stabbed him with the thing, and then Denjiro got the final shot. And now she's saying the Kurozumi were born to fucking burn. Like, just makes her look bad.
Honestly, if this scene would have happened in media res when it was supposed to happen, like we didn't crunch that time a little bit.
Yep.
I probably wouldn't feel half of what I felt about Hiyori being kind of flustered. It feels like we're getting it now, which is cool. And it's cool.
She should have said it when she stabbed his ass.
Yeah. She should have been playing her shamisen and making a fucking song about it or something.
That would have been badass. Yeah, like, 100%.
Like the Hiyori thing, because as far as I'm concerned, Hiyori's been the one holding down Wano and everything. Her, Denjiro, you know, Kawamatsu unfortunately got stuck in the prison.
Was in jail, yeah.
You know, but they've been holding it down for 20 years. And I feel like on some level, the crew that had to stay back
didn't get enough shine.
Yeah, they should have been given more love. Because I feel for Kinemon, I love him.
But we didn't see anything with Denjiro. Like, really.
He literally came, 30 chapters later, Spider-Manning, very, dynamic entry.
Literally, all Denjiro did was clash with Zoro, and then, like you said, appear at the thing, and then slice off Orochi's head. He literally did 3 things.
Yeah, I'll say this. I really like Denjiro for his Kinemon interactions.
Yeah.
Because
he still views Kinemon as that guy back when they were kids, as like this brilliant mind.
Yeah, he's like Kinemon's day one. He's like, my man Kinemon's got it.
Yeah.
He's a genius. He's been holding it down.
They were friends
first. He managed to get himself all the way back to Wano. Downplaying his own self, listen, all I did, I just lied in wait like a rat in the dirt. But Kinemon's been out there getting allies and shit. Meanwhile, Kinemon's like, damn, if it weren't for Sanji vouching for my fucking
I'd have still been frozen.
Like, all right.
Crazy.
And the whole thing with Hitetsu and I
okay,
love that gag.
That's another like negative to me of not, and this goes into the Zoro thing of yes, it wasn't the year of Zoro, but there were ties of like the need eye going to the grave.
Mm-hmm.
See, to me with Zoro, I think the issue is fans of Zoro saying, oh, he should have gotten the ZKK, or he should have gotten to fight Green Bull. He should have gotten more fights. To me, I am satisfied with the King fight. What I'm not satisfied with is the non-violence with Zoro, is his own story. The grave is, I think, the most egregious. Need Eye's up there, and then not learning about the Grim Reaper. Because the Grim Reaper thing to me is, oh, Oda definitely had to cut that so we could keep this shit moving.
Yeah, and not just that, but also it's just a general case of like, I guess people have been waiting for Zoro stuff for so long. I feel for
it's going to happen in a flashback, though.
I'm not a Zoro fanboy, but I'm a Zoro fan. I love him. I love all the other Straw Hats.
Same.
I don't agree with the power scaling where people make it a giant gap between him and Sanji. And I don't agree because there are some Zoro fans who think Zoro's low-key the main character.
They think he's up there with Luffy. Yeah. He is clearly number 2. Like, let's
they are
be
the
real.
monster trio. Now, like
Gold Roger, like Silver's Rayleigh, Copper, Scopper, Gabon, Luffy, Rayleigh, Scopper. I mean, Sanji.
Yes.
So
Zoro in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I will disagree with that, but I do feel for them because I think we all kind of like were misled. But Zoro himself, I mean, he said it at the gravesite, which, people have been using that to justify more and more / also cry new a little bit. But Zoro, he respects the samurai, but Zoro's never claimed to be like Wanese.
Yeah.
He doesn't really like
that's
he respects the samurai
that's a fan head canon.
Yeah, like Zoro respects Wano because of the strong swordsman. He's never been like, this is my home or this is my ancestral homeland. I'm not saying that he isn't. He definitely is from there.
Yeah.
Like, heritage-wise, but he's never felt tied to that.
And he doesn't know it, I don't think.
No, he still doesn't.
Yeah.
Like,
and see, that's something
that could have used some clarification.
And that's something that I think their fans have some justification, because if Kawamatsu knew what the daimyo looked like and was talking to the fox Onimaru, why didn't they have a conversation with Zoro about it? And I think that's something that could have been cut.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that kind of contrasts the three of them, again, using the monster trio logic. Luffy knows where he's from and he knows about his family, but he himself doesn't make a big deal.
Doesn't care, yeah.
It's not that he doesn't like them or love them. He does, but he doesn't make it all about him. He has a new family and he's very focused on them.
Yep.
Sanji purposely knows everything about his family and chooses not to talk about it because it's trauma.
Yep.
There's a bunch of shit with it. He doesn't want anybody to know because he's embarrassed by it and he hates the video.
And we needed to know that so his character could grow.
Yeah, and we had a whole arc dedicated to that.
And that's one of the positives that we'll
strictly in between. We don't know about his family, and it doesn't seem like he has too much trauma with it.
And it does seem like it affects his character of being the greatest swordsman.
Like
we know about the people that matter in terms of his master and Kuina.
Mm-hmm. Like
he said it when he fought King. He thought of Kuina and Luffy. Those are the two people that matter to Zoro.
Yeah, like me personally, it's all headcanon or whatever, but I personally think Zoro's family's probably still alive somewhere and they're just hanging out. They're probably normal people. Maybe they have some swordsmanship skills or whatever from the dojo.
See, my headcanon is they died on the way to Wano with his master, and his master just kept him in his family. Yeah. That would be my headcanon.
And the old swordsmith.
Yeah. The old man. Which I'm glad we got to see that. And it's like, okay, well, we got to see that. Why didn't we get any more on that? That's where the fans have complaints. I think the complaints of him killing Kaido and him fighting Green Bull, that's super headcanon. And I think that's not fair to Oda. But and what again, is fair
that is coming later
is the fan stuff. I mean, the family stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And like the Kaido thing's kind of settled one way or another. I personally am of the opinion that they're still alive. They blew up out of the mountain, and we're gonna get a cover story with the two former Yonko later.
They might get Pluton.
Yeah.
They might come into the final war with Pluton. And to that point, I think that can get us into Yamato with the part of the chapter on the Kaido backstory. I think it's interesting. I think we're not ready to know about rocks. I feel like that's why we didn't get the Kaido backstory. And to that point, that's why Yamato didn't join the crew. Everybody's giving all these bullshit reasons. No, Yamato didn't join the crew because she knows about Odin's journal, and that ruins Luffy's adventure. Like
Mhm.
it hit me like a pound of bricks the other day because I was rewatching clips on YouTube and the clip came up where he was like, Usopp, stop! I don't want to know about this because it won't be a surprise. And that's entirely Yamato.
I say,
He couldn't join the crew and not say something.
and like, yeah, like, by the way, love that scene. Like, I
Yeah,
think it's one of the
great
best scenes
scene.
in One Piece because it shows so much of Luffy's character, which a character we've been with for since the beginning, but sometimes it's hard to know his motivations. Again, much like how Oda liked Scare Fifth because it's fun for him, Luffy is only on the trip because it's a fun adventure.
Yep.
Like, I'm telling you, same thing with my Buggy is going to become maybe King of the Pirates at the end of the series. I think Luffy wants the title. I think he's going to get bored with being Pirate King in title after like having it for like a day, and then he's not going to care.
Yeah.
You know. Now the thing with Yamato and everything about knowing it, I will point out this, and I've been kind of chewing on it. Odin had a difference. Odin went through literally every part of Wano, and he had his fill of it. He became a fucking legend when he was like 10, basically. And he learned all about it, and then he, kicked some ass over in his little piece of it,
got his daimyo, set up everything, did
Mm-hmm.
everything he needed to do, yeah.
Yamato has literally not been outside of Onigashima ever.
Yep, been locked up. He's been locked up, yeah.
Yamato is just happy to find out what Wano even is.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point as well.
And also, they didn't say it, it's headcanon still, but I kind of agree with it. I think after the Aramaki confrontation, I think everyone can kind of agree. Right now, Wano ain't there yet, and Yamato being and there's a boom,
Mm-hmm.
I think Yamato could have easily talked himself into being like, look, I barely know Wano. I helped save it. I want to go to every place in Wano. I have Odin's journal. I want to compare what Odin put into it
to what I
compared to what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I want to write my own journal, like Odin did, and compare them, because that's the other thing too. Like Yamato can also take that journal and walk around and be like, hey, just so you know, this is Odin's whole deal.
And to your point, I think I actually agree with everything you just said. I would say it's 60% the part of he read Odin's journal, he can't come. That's like major. I would say 20% is the fact of, like you're saying, he hasn't left. Like, I understand his dream is to sail the seas, but he still needs to see Wano. So I would say that's 20%, maybe even more. I might even say that's 30%. And then I say the 10 is seeing, oh, well, Momo and them can't defend Wano. Let me stay here to help. And his fruit is the guardian deity of Wano. So
personally, I've always been pretty 50-50.
Okay.
I'd say I started off with Yamato is going to stay because I always thought that Yamato would pick up. Granted, this was before Momo got aged up, but I always thought, and slowly but surely things started changing and made me be more of it being dead 50-50.
I was 50-50 in the sense of before Momo got aged up, I thought he was gonna go, and then Yamato was gonna stay.
Yeah,
and then when Momo got aged up, where I stayed. I was 100% Yamato's joining because of what he told Ace. I was like, okay, this makes sense. Like, and I think it's a lot of red herrings, and I think more so than Carrot, Yamato had an argument. I think the argument of people saying, oh, he's old and he doesn't know who he wants to be, I think that's all bullshit. And I really feel like the people who are making those complaints, I'm not going to say they're transphobic, but it's very transphobic-y. Like,
I say, you're scraping against something.
Yeah, it's something that, because like, y'all aren't giving valid reasons. Y'all are saying that, oh, he doesn't want to be his own person. No, he's telling you who he is.
Yeah, and like, and I'm glad you touched on that because last thing I want to do was be like the new guy and like come into it. But
no, I felt like that for a week.
Yeah, like speaking of somebody who has a trans partner and everything and is definitely heavily involved in the community. I think it's kind of gross people being like. It's inherently on One Piece because a lot of people, the way they were framing it, because people like to take theorizing and then they also love just writing shit out, like
their
writing
own canon. Yeah,
like I think a lot of people were like, because a lot of people were like, Luffy's going to stand at the edge of the dark or whatever, and then Yamato's going to be running up, and then Yamato's going to jump, and then Luffy's going to be like, no, hold on, and then Luffy's going to be like, hold on, Yamato, before you can join my crew,
who are you?
You must decide to not be the coping mechanism you've had for the last several years while you were an abused child or whatever.
Jazz made a great point. Shout out got Jazz. He was like, if warmongering Kaido, who's a terrible person, can call Yamato he and say he's his son and say he's Odin, why the fuck can't y'all?
Exactly. And why would you think Luffy would be less accepting? Like, I don't know how to explain this anymore.
Why would Luffy care? Like,
Luffy wanted a skeleton singer on the crew. Like, all of the Straw Hats are kind of freaks. You know what I mean? Like,
and the moment Luffy met him, when he was like, I'm Kaido's son, and Luffy saw his body form may have been female, he never said anything. He was like, you are a boy. You are who you say you are, and I accept you for you. Exactly, Yama bro. Exactly. So to me, it felt transphobic. I cannot lie.
Like, Luffy's never once been like, it's weird you call yourself Kaido's son. The only time that Luffy ever said anything was like, okay, but why Odin specifically? And even then, he didn't really care after that.
Nope. You know, he was like, all right, you're Odin. Luffy believes in freedom. If that's what you want, then that's what
gave Momo to Yamato while the whole thing was going on.
Yep.
Like, that's a level of trust and understanding that a lot of people just can't grok with. And, you know, like I said, like, most of the Straw Hats are freaks, one way or another. You know, One Piece and, you know, Bon Chen deserves to be on the Straw Hats for all the shit that, you know, he did for Luffy and everything. You know what I mean? One Piece ultimately, Oda doesn't always nail it. Sometimes Oda fucks up, especially whenever it comes to, you know, trans issues. Though granted, Kiku's better, although I would also say it does kind of suck that Kiku kind of got the shaft a little bit. Like, Kiku fucked up a lot towards the end of the arc, and I feel that's kind of unfortunate. That
but I felt like she, at least there was no question in the community
on the trans part.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
100%.
And then, you know, and people point out like Ivankov and stuff, and it's like, on one hand, I think it's funny and I like it well enough, especially because it's a Rocky Horror reference. And I think most people in the community are probably okay with it. At the same time, though, that being for the longest time your main
gag,
and especially since it happened to Sanji, I feel like I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't really inject it into the work, but that's why I had canon Sanji being cooler with trans people in Newcama than what the story lets us believe, because I can't have Sanji being like transphobic.
Yeah, it's not him.
Like, if it ever comes back up, he's got to do a switch. Otherwise, it's gonna like break my heart.
It's gonna affect. No, I feel you, and there's no need for that. Like, that's why to me, I was like, man, I had to say it because I call a spade a spade. I'm a straight cis man, but I'm an ally 100%. I believe that all people should be represented in work. I believe that all people should be loved. Like, to me, I felt like if y'all's only excuse for Yamato not joining the crew is quote unquote because he believes he's Odin and that gag has run its course, y'all sound very transphobic. Like, there's no grounds for anything.
Everyone has gags.
If your grounds was, oh, he's too strong, it upsets the power dynamic, I think that's more fitting than whatever the hell y'all have been saying. So that's my negative with the Yamato not joining, because I was pro Yamato.
Yeah, and I will say this. Let me put it on record. I'm 100% okay with the idea of Yamato eventually learning more about themselves and not being Odin. However, I need people to understand that doesn't necessarily mean
he's going to be a woman.
That doesn't mean that Yamato's something going to be like, oh, I'm Yamato, I'm Kaido's daughter, blah blah.
No, he's still gonna be Kaido's son.
He's like, okay, cool. Like, Odin's my biggest inspiration to live organically as me, which is Yamato, son of Kaido, only prince or whatever.
Yep.
You know.
So I agree with you 100%. So, and that's pretty much all the major stuff in the chapter. Let's talk about some of the positives in Wano. And if you got anything else chapter wise, go ahead.
Yeah. I will say this. One thing that we kind of touched on a little bit, but I just want to reaffirm. So for those of you who don't know, in the unofficial Hiyori's speech about the Kurozumi made it sound more like it was kind of like against the clan. The official just says Kurozumi was born to burn, and the way that it's paneled does make it look more like it's specifically Orochi, which I think we all kind of understood. But I like that there's no ambiguity as much there now, because
especially since there's cheers there and people are like, like it's very good.
And then it's like, oh, little Tommy, you need to run.
Exactly. Also, final thing on just Yamato, I do think he will be back for the final battle.
Of course,
200%.
Yeah,
200%. Now,
we're calling everybody up.
Now, if Momo and some of the scabbards aren't okay, but to your point, I think we're calling everybody. But Yamato 100% is there, and I think once Luffy figures out Laugh Tale, Yamato joins the crew officially to like go on adventures because Nami still has to get her dream of map out everything, and that's still an adventure.
Yeah. I would say this. Also, I think the paneling for the entirety of Momo leading up to
was great.
The confrontation. I think it's great. I think it's beautiful. I think it's some of the better paneling work we've had in a minute.
And his crying scene.
Yeah, the flip beautiful. Over and then going to the crying. That's some of the best detailed artwork we've had in a minute.
Yep.
And I think it's very important for everyone to realize, like, no, yes, it is kind of weird that he's Shogun, but he has a bunch of lower retainers who are going to try and help it work. But he is still an 8-year-old kid. Luffy's his older brother. That's his Nakama.
Oh, I love that Luffy called him his little brother. Yeah, I love that.
He wants them to be there. Like, if it was up to him, like, and I think that's speech partially to the isolationist tendencies of Wano. I think on some level, it's not that he doesn't trust the Straw Hats, but he wants them to be safe too.
Yeah, he does.
And he's like, look, we just repelled an admiral. At least for right now, we're all safe here. We can party. We can rebuild Wano together.
But he doesn't understand that. We can do whatever. This is how like Luffy has to go to get stronger. This is not his end goal. This is his
destiny.
Yeah, like yes, your goal was accomplished, but his goal wasn't. So he has to continue onward. Also, the fact that he got, if people consider Vivi a crew member, then you have to consider Momo,
Ken, and
Yamato. Yep, exactly. 100%.
They all got the official slips.
That's why I take the L, but it's really like a half L.
Yeah, it's a delay.
Yeah, it's exactly 100%.
And also, just for the little thing about them all setting off, I once again, I'm kind of whatever sometimes when it comes to the 3 supernova captains, but I do love whenever they egg each other on, especially
I love
Trophy.
I'm so mad that we're losing them, man. I love Luffy, Law, and Kid, and I'm so sad that Law is off the crew, and that's one of my pros. The handling of the supernova captains, it really made them seem like, okay, yes, Luffy's stronger than them, but those 2 dudes are the closest things to rivals this guy has. Yeah, exactly. And the fight with Big Mom, the rail gun, all of Law's moves, positives. Those are huge, huge positives.
It's probably going to happen more towards the final arc, but I really, really, really want to see what happens when they do meet up again.
Yeah, are they going to fight?
I know they're rivals,
but we need a Whitebeard Roger clash.
We do need a clash.
Like, let's fight, and then after our crews hang out because the crews are cool. Like while they were all arguing, all the crews were chilling. Exactly. Zoro was sitting by Killer. Like they have this Rayleigh, whoever the first commander was.
Frankie loves the submarine. Frankie loves submarine, and
Beppo and Chopper
all the boys
chilling.
Love
Frankie Shogun.
Frankie Shogun.
Yep.
Law fanboys over the Sanji's raid suit.
Yep, exactly. Positives, Law, Kid. I would say Sanji's story. Positive. Like people are trying to make fun of him for the Black Maria thing. I was like, y'all just don't get it. That was his moment of from Whole Cake not asking for help to now I'm here. I rely on my crew. Perfect story. Also, only thing I was sad about was him breaking the raid suit, but I get it. That's just me personally as an aesthetic thing.
Yeah, like, and as for the whole Black Maria thing, it's like, listen, I don't even think it was an L, but if you want to call it an L, I understand. But like, listen, I will take a Sanji L who very rarely takes L's. Contrary to popular belief, Sanji's a very solid dude. Whom I love, I will take a Sanji L for the rare, but shouldn't be rare because she's great. Robin W. How y'all going to say Robin best girl and then be mad when Robin is allowed to do something fucking great?
Huge positive was Robin, everything with Robin. And I'm still hoping that it's hockey, that culture thing. I'm still hoping maybe it's not, but whatever, Robin Black Maria,
karate.
Positive. Huge positive. I would say Jinbei fight with who's who, positive.
Yep.
Now Frankie kind of got screwed.
Yeah, man.
I would say Frankie, Nami, and Usopp all kind of got.
Usopp, it's relatively okay though because we're going L.
Yeah, we're about to L go. We might be going to L back.
And we might actually get contemplation about that. He might be like,
man, and Nami got Zeus. Like,
yeah, she got Zeus, and she definitively has Zeus.
Yep,
like,
I think Frankie's gonna get a moment when we meet Vegapunk. I think Frankie's moment is coming later.
Yeah, I mean, hell, Frankie might even wrestle a few giants.
Yep, possible.
Like it'll probably be more like in my opinion, probably more like a friendly thing. But the Frankie Shogun might be put through its paces, just giant v giant. Yeah, which would be a great
way to upgrade him.
Yeah, because eventually he's probably going to be the one who's going to have to take on Blackbeard's giant.
Yeah, true.
and
San
it's
Juan
probably
Wolf.
gonna have to be the entire Sunny at that point and incorporated into
Yeah,
the
good
monosuit.
point. Any other positives you got from the art while we're just talking about pause?
Yeah, I really, I enjoyed Wano's culture. I enjoyed meeting the people. I do agree sometimes it was a little much one way or another. I think a big part of the problem was like some of the more transitionary stuff of like moving people from one place to another.
Yeah.
Like I get that Zoro, it's nice that Zoro hanging out with Yasue and that made him kind of tie more into the land. But if he was going to spend most of his time out in the snowy regions and finding like the all that, then I wish he kind of would have maybe started there. Like him and Yasue could have had a chapter where Yasue went one way, Zoro was the other.
And that
But
and
even
that
then, like,
and that could have been him learning more about his heritage. So
yeah, and like I think overall, like a big thing that you can't please everybody, and the two biggest complaints I hear about Wano, if I could like break them down, is some people on this side say Wano was rushed, especially towards the end, mind you, which granted there's more velocity for that, but people have been saying Wano's been rushed the whole
for a
time.
while, yeah.
Like, let's keep it a buck.
Yeah, no,
And other people
100%.
like and the other coincidence, funny enough, is Wano's taking
long.
way too long.
Yeah, you
So
can't
it's
please
like
everybody.
you literally can't make both of those things work in tandem.
Roof piece, another positive. Huge.
Oh yeah, every part of Roof Piece was good except for Sunspot being on it. But
I'm okay with it. I get it.
I say there's enough supernova up there. It's fine.
Yeah, I get it. And Sanji's not a supernova, so I understand.
Yeah. Plus, I think you did a lot of good work. I think.
Oh yeah, the Queen fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our boy Sanji got dude got a raid suit without the raid suit.
I say handled Queen and King for a little bit there. Did some Marco level shit. Marco being there, some people were like a little bit whatever.
I liked it,
but Marco was not supposed to take the spotlight. He literally says it. And I loved every part of Marco.
And I think the anime explains that better.
It brought respect back to the Whitebeard pirates,
which they needed badly. Also, another positive, King. King is a huge positive for me. I love this character, and that could almost be a negative of not learning more about the Lunarians, but I think that's going to come in the future.
Kind of has to. And you know what I mean, Jack? To be honest with you, I like all the Ostros because it did give us more. How Kaido reacts to his all-star specifically. The other members of the crew is a little bit whatever, but he genuinely cares about and loves King, Queen, and Jack. Don't let anyone ever tell you different.
He did, especially him telling Jack to take 100%.
Yeah, like Jack, go take a breather, come back.
I want you to be safe.
Like you're the best.
So than this.
You're the big man. You're strong. He's there. Don't let him tell you different. Queen's funny as fuck.
Those were great. To me, they were better than Big Mom's crew. Like the only person in Big Mom's crew that mattered was Katakuri, whereas Jack, Queen, and King all mattered.
And Pudding, but
but
different
way. No, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think any other positives I got. Sanji's fight.
Also, the Toby Roppo were pretty good. They weren't as focused on.
Yeah, like Black Maria is a positive. I would say who was a positive, but for me, I think Sasaki. Even seeing his kid form. He's the daughter of that. He's the son of the mermaid in Water 7, and no one can tell me otherwise.
Yeah, that's Chimney's dad right there.
Yeah, no, 100%. And
that's Granny's son, and that's Chimney's fucking dad.
And that's something that I wish we would have known because Frankie fought him.
Also, again, why the fuck does half these people have horns? I still don't.
And also, not learning about the Oni blood.
Yeah, the numbers are still kind of suspect.
I forgot about that.
Also, yeah, I mean, obviously. Also, that being said, it also gave us ulti, which a lot of people
loved.
They want ulti to be mean to her, and I find Page One kind of cute. Like, I actually really do like the ulti Page One.
I did too,
because we don't have a lot of siblings in One Piece.
Also, Roger Whitebeard, blood, yeah. All that.
Listen,
shit.
The flashbacks that we did get this entire arc were good and deserved.
100%.
And I know Oda himself tries to move through flashbacks quick because it's literally down to.
But we needed that.
The more Luffy isn't on screen, the worse the sales get. And they've literally told him, not necessarily, I'm not saying they pull up and be like, hey, Oda, cut that shit out. But, but it's like how all editors do. They kind of pull up on the side and they're like, hey, just so you know, it would be best for
to get the main character, to be back.
If you keep flashbacks to like 10 chapters or whatever, hint.
But he couldn't. Not with that one. And see, I feel like that was us learning as much as we could. And I feel like all the stuff we wanted with Kaido, Rocks, all that stuff, that's coming.
Also, plus Zora fans, I mean, if you're happy out there, like he still has Mihawk to go.
And
this
when he
wasn't his end of the
look,
story.
his
It's
next
none of their
fight,
end of the
we're
story.
gonna get a flashback to Ryuma. We're gonna get that flashback coming. Like
Now that being said, we do have to understand that unfortunately Mihawk is just riding off of the cloud of Buggy D Clown. So we have to understand that and we have to accept it. It's good to accept the way that things
final
are.
positives 100% is the
Buggy D Clown.
The four emperors, man. Buggy, Shanks, Blackbeard, Luffy. I also love the bounties of Law and Kid. And seeing Shanks, my favorite character, come in and just an admiral.
Dude, that personally, that 1,000% leads to my adds to my theory that I think Shanks is at least tied to the Celestial Dragon in some way.
Oh, okay, wait. We can make that a separate video, but yeah. I 100% like. I don't think he's evil, but I think he is
at least of their blood or something. Maybe.
Yep, 100%. And also, we know from the One Piece Red spoilers we don't know if he is that, like you're saying, but we do know how he was found. Yeah.
So, also, I love literally everything about Gear 5 except for the explanation about it. That I'm still kind of squishy on. That's a little whatever.
But I do love Gear 5.
There are ways to make it work, and I love the fact that they straight up say Luffy makes the fruit special.
Yep. And it makes sense why he was able to do Gear 2nd, Gear 4th, Gear 3rd. All of that makes sense because it is his imagination.
Yes.
And everything leading up, him expanding everything that Luffy does.
Make him more of a cartoon. Oda, get weird with it. Fuck with the panels. Make the panel stretch. Break people through them.
I think that's coming.
As weird as you want. I'm fine with this turning into a goddamn Tom and Jerry cartoon.
They have a funny final thing I'll say. There's a funny picture, I'll send it to you, of Luffy eating the gum fruit with Shanks, and instead of Shanks picking his head up, his head just turns to Nika, and Shanks does the face. It's hilarious. But that's pretty much everything I got on this chapter. Yeah. Josh, tell the people they can follow you out on social media.
Okay, so on social media, you can either follow me, so a little finicky on a Twitter really works, to be honest with you. Anyway, but my normal name that you can edit is Joshua Trustclair, and my name that you can't edit is at Versen the Vassal.
Yep.
So hit me up or whatever, especially if you're into D&D, especially if you're into One Piece.
And we got our stuff coming. And we got our D&D show coming soon enough. I won't tell you all a date because we aren't sure, but I can definitely tell you this: before May of next year, it will be out. I'll tell you. I can definitely 100% tell you that. And like I said, we will have Josh on more One Piece stuff coming. We have more One Piece content coming, so y'all make sure y'all follow him. Follow me at LinBWT, and be on the lookout for Christian and I's review of the next chapter, as well as Christian, Josh, myself, and Jazz and Pharaoh discussing Wano and where we go from here. But loved having you on. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, one last thing, just because it's serendipitous, but as of data recording, tomorrow is my last day of work at my normal job, and I'm actually moving on to working in housing organizing and housing justice, as well as green new energy policy for Louisiana, where where most of us in the server and everything are from. And I only say that way everybody who follows me understands. I'm political. It's literally my job now. If you don't like it, don't get off my page. But we can still talk One Piece, which is political, and we can still talk D&D, which is political.
100%. Y'all make sure y'all go follow Josh, follow me, follow the network, and until next time, peace.